Hi guys, welcome back and thank you so much for being here. What's going on, guys? Please hit the like button and also share this video. Let's talk about this crazy, wild situation, okay? About how Prince Andrew was kicked out of the Royal Lodge, okay? So, what's been reported is that Prince Andrew has been forced to leave the Royal Lodge. So, this whole thing started back in October when the Buckingham Palace announced that King Charles initiated the process to strip Prince from like in my head, former Prince Andrew will always be Prince Andrew. For me, I think it's ridiculous to say, "Oh, you're no longer a prince." Okay, like that's his birthright. He may be demonic associating with Epstein and all the things that they probably did together. But at the end of the day, he's still a prince. You can't basically say, oh, you are no longer a prince based on whatever atrocities that you may have committed with this convicted pedophile. But yeah, so pardon me if I refer to him as Prince Andrew as opposed to just Andrew Mountbatten or whatever the name they call themselves. But yeah, for me, I think that's crazy. You don't say, "Oh, you're no longer a prince." Like he's a prince by birth. He's Queen Elizabeth's son, which is also crazy, right? Because as much as I don't necessarily dislike Queen Elizabeth, as much as I dislike King Charles, but I feel like she did a lot of things to protect Prince Andrew from facing consequences. And I also cannot ignore the hypocrisy of this whole situation, okay? Back in October last year, they basically stripped Prince Andrew of his title, just changing his name and renaming him Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, whatever. So they basically stripped him of his title as a prince. But what is also interesting to me, and this is where, in my opinion, the hypocrisy comes in, is the fact that they stripped Prince Andrew of his title, publicly shamed him, deservingly so. I'm not here defending him because I think he's a piece of shit, okay, for whatever he may or may not have done, including inviting his own daughters to spend time with, what's his name? Jeffrey Epstein. Like that's just creepy. There's a lot that goes on with these rich and famous people. Who There's a lot that goes on. It's one thing for him to be doing all these awful vile things, but for him to know Jeffrey Epstein and everything that Jeffrey Epstein represents and still bring his own children around that man, it says a lot about Prince Andrew. It says a lot. There's a lot of things there that it's so creepy to even think about it. Like it's weird. And he's not the only one who did it. Howard Lutnick, who is Trump's whatever, the crazy guy who talks loud and he's always just, being crazy. At one time when he was pleading to be in, and this is in one of the leaked conversation, the leaked emails of and Jeffrey Epstein. At one time he was pleading to be invited into the PP island of Jeffrey Epstein. He was basically listing the ages of his minor age children. It was almost as if he was using his children as bait to get Jeffrey Epstein to allow him to come to the island. As in, basically, in my opinion, dangling his minor children at Jeffrey Epstein. Howard Lutnick, you guys know him. Let me show him to you so you can have an idea of who I'm talking about. The crazy guy who talks weird and is always carrying on this Trump bravado, whatever. Let me show you guys his face. So he was basically, in my opinion, dangling his children as some kind of an enticement to have Jeffrey Epstein allow him to come to the PP Island. So yeah, this is the guy, the crazy guy. He's so disgusting. And especially with the release of this latest email, it just really shows that these people, okay, so this is what they do. These are sick people, and this is why they are going to go to the end of the earth with Trump, because they know that as long as Trump is in office, they will be protected. So they are willing to break the laws. They are willing to lie. They are willing to do anything. They are willing to rig elections, the US election. They are willing to interfere in a bid to ensure that Republicans continue to be in office, because that's the only way that they can guarantee, that's the only way to guarantee that they're not going to face the law, legal ramification for all the awful things that they are clearly doing. So anyways, let's go back to Prince Andrew, because there's a lot to unpack with regards to Prince Andrew. Like the level of disgrace, the public humiliation that this man, okay, so I was talking about the hypocrisy of the royal family, the hypocrisy of King Charles, where King Charles is ready. And again, this is not me trying to defend Prince Andrew, because what he did is disgusting. Okay, even his own mom, the late Queen Elizabeth, did everything to protect him, including paying $12 million to Virginia Giuffre to ensure that she did not tell her story, because they know that their son, Queen Elizabeth, knew that her son was guilty of sin. And so she was doing whatever she needed to do to protect him. And that's all I see in this situation. But yeah, but my thing is this: the royal family, they are very quick to like discuss, especially now that there are irrefutable, everything is out, irrefutable evidence basically confirming everything that Prince Andrew has been accused of. So the royal family, led by King Charles, is willing to like throw Prince Andrew to the wolves, kick him to the curb, smash him and lock the door and make sure he never comes out. But they are still very happy, more than willing to roll down the red carpet for Donald Trump, whose name is all over, more than anybody else that has been listed in the Epstein files, more than anybody else that has been named in the Epstein situation. Trump's name has been front, middle, and center and back of the Epstein file. But the royal family and the British government, they knew all of this, yet still rolled the red carpet for Trump to walk in while tossing Prince Andrew away. What does that say? That's hypocrisy. That's just people being fake, being dishonest. That's all I see in this situation. Anyways, let's watch this.
The photographs may be embarrassing, but the emails are devastating. Tonight, the Metropolitan Police said they had launched an investigation into a 72-year-old man, a former government minister, for misconduct in public office. That man is, of course, Peter Mandelson, and his former colleagues are appalled.
I removed Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the US very shortly after being appointed as Foreign Secretary. There's clearly been a lot of information that just was not known. And these revelations, for me as someone who was in the Treasury at the time of the financial crisis, I find truly shocking.
Peter Mandelson was business secretary during the financial crisis when he's alleged to have leaked market-sensitive information to Jeffrey Epstein. His old boss, Gordon Brown, has already contacted the police about what he called an inexcusable and unpatriotic act. Amongst the emails Mandelson allegedly...
There is always this conversation about how, because now the propaganda machines, the spin machines, the influencers and the podcasters, they have now taken on like a new talking point, which basically is, oh, all of those people that were mentioned in the Epstein files, they didn't do anything wrong, blah, blah, blah. So that seems to be the talking point now, that the podcast bros and the whatever that they are basically pushing right now. So my thing is this: why? Give me one reason, because now the narrative is that nobody was getting blackmailed, nobody was being blackmailed by Epstein or whatever. So tell me why somebody will give away his country's secrets, country financial information, policy information with regards to the country's finances. Why would anybody give that to somebody like Jeffrey Epstein if they were not being blackmailed, if they did not have a dirt that they were hoping didn't come out by basically doing everything that Jeffrey says? Why would anyone give such information? Because it has been reported now that Jeffrey Epstein was working for the Mossad. Okay, that has been out there. That has always been out there. The narrative that he was working for the Israeli government or whatever. Okay, so my thing is this: why would anyone willingly give information about their country financial policy to somebody, a foreign agent? Why? Or a suspected foreign agent? Why would they do that if not for the fact that they were being blackmailed? So that argument that, oh, he wasn't blackmailing them, all these people who were hanging out with this man were just doing it because they thought he was interesting. Give me a break. And you're just basically selling state secrets? Because that's what it boils down to.
Sent to Epstein were a briefing for Gordon Brown on the sale of government assets. What saleable assets, asks Epstein. Land, property, I guess, comes the reply. There was confirmation of the EU's €500 billion bailout. Should be announced tonight, Mandelson appears to have written. And also advance notice of Gordon Brown's resignation as Prime Minister. Finally got him to go today, Mandelson appears to boast, around 9 hours before this highly market-sensitive information was made public. The problem in all of this for the current Prime Minister is that he appointed Mandelson ambassador to Washington on the advice of his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney.
It's a national embarrassment that Peter Mandelson, the close friend of a notorious paedophile, was appointed British ambassador above many better and qualified candidates. And that is why we're forcing this rare parliamentary mechanism, forcing the government. We want to know what Morgan McSweeney knew and did, and most importantly, what the Prime Minister knew and why all of this was waved away.
And it's not just the opposition asking questions.
There's been lots of suggestions that McSweeney was the one that has pushed for Mandelson to become the ambassador who's been protecting him. So I think there needs to be a level of investigation in terms of why this was allowed to happen.
This afternoon, Mandelson's retirement was announced in the House of Lords.
The Clerk of the Parliament has today received notification from Lord Mandelson of his intention to retire from the House, effective from 4th February.
But the government is also working on a new law to strip him of his title altogether. Peter Mandelson resigned from government in both 2001 and 1998 after relationships with wealthy businessmen got him into trouble.
So
This time,
basically,
the trouble
he has a history, and that's what I'm getting from this. He has a history of just this sort of behavior.
is a lot more serious.
And Carl joins me now. Carl, I mean, a police investigation is always serious. The government clearly giving...
And the government is in the process of replacing it. But this is what Peter Mandelson is being investigated for. And were we to get to a prosecution and a conviction, a jail sentence is not out of the question. We are, however, a long way from that, not least because we haven't heard from Peter Mandelson himself.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
This will end in tears. Appointing Peter Mandelson never ends well. And yet, Keir Starmer went ahead and made this controversial appointment. And therefore, I'm afraid for Keir Starmer himself, his own reputation very severely damaged, despite the fact that his defense is, I didn't know this stuff.
Maybe he also is being blackmailed, because apparently that's what's going on. Maybe he also is being blackmailed. Like, let me tell you, with all these people, I will put nothing past any of these people. Did you know that the reason why the whole issue with Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, allegedly, the reason why Monica Lewinsky, his affair with Monica Lewinsky got exposed was allegedly because there was something that Israel wanted Bill Clinton to do. Israel wanted Bill Clinton to release an Israeli spy that had been found guilty of espionage for selling state secrets, the United States secrets, to Israel, and he was subsequently sentenced to life in prison. And so when Bill Clinton got into office, there were a lot of pressure, people wanting Bill Clinton to release the guy. And he said, no way, Jose. So there is a conversation around whether, obviously this has been alleged, and based on everything that I have read up about this, it makes sense that that's the reason why they basically decide to like blow the whistle on his relationship with Monica Lewinsky. Okay. But the conversation is that exposing his relationship, his adultery with Monica Lewinsky, was a payback for him refusing to release the Israeli spy. The same Israeli spy, mind you, that was eventually released in 2025 by Donald J. Trump. Yeah. So, like, just looking at everything that is now playing out openly, it's such an amazing time to be alive because social media has now made so many things be exposed. But when you look at everything that is happening, you will never put anything past anyone, because Keir Starmer cannot say that he did not know. Like, all he needed to do was to just go back and go back to the Wayback Machine and read up on some history and decide whether he should have nominated this person as an ambassador based on previous situations, based on previous, in my opinion, betrayals that he's been involved in. But Keir Starmer decided that he was going to he was going to like appoint this guy based on the recommendation of his chief of staff. And then here we go. Here we go. So who's to say that Keir Starmer is also not being blackmailed? Because these politicians, they are into some weird, like, you will never imagine some of the things that they are involved in. And they will do whatever it takes to bury their secrets, including appointing a very problematic person with a history of breaking the law, of betraying his country, only for that same person to do it again. So there you go.
Okay, Robert, many twists and turns to come, one would think, but thank you very much indeed. Now, the revelations from the latest huge release of Epstein files have, it seems, finally led to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor leaving his home on the Windsor Estate, Royal Lodge. We understand he left last night. More on that in a moment. Earlier, Andrew's younger brother, Prince Edward, became the first family member to react to the recent dump of documents. He didn't seem very keen to answer questions, but he did tell a conference in Dubai it is really important always to remember the victims. And there are a lot of victims, he said.
Keeping the show on the road is what the royal family is good at, and whatever may or may not be happening elsewhere concerning the king's younger brother, nothing was going to stop the local and regional government employees' reception tonight, and nor would anyone here have wanted it otherwise.
Of course, the show must go on. The royal family must put on the show no matter what. They must surround themselves with black people because they had to prove that, look, we're not racist. We let these black people, these token black people come next to us. So we are not racist. Yeah, the show must go on.
Alongside the King and Queen was the Duchess of Edinburgh, whose husband was
And
making...
this is a documented racist. This is the person who wore a brooch that has a very racist history. And she was so nasty to Meghan Markle.
Headlines of his own today, a long way from here. The Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Edward, is in Dubai as the British Embassy there was proudly showcasing on its social media pages. But during a session on a conference stage with a microphone hovering near his mouth, the Andrew problem did come up and Edward was asked about Jeffrey Epstein's victims.
I bet they were informed. They had to send out their I bet they made sure they had to send out their demands and try to make sure that nobody asked anything about, Prince Andrew and the Epstein file situation. But someone still managed to sneak it in though. Yeah, good for them. Good for whoever it was that did that.
But how are you coping with that?
Well, with the best will in the world, I'm not sure this is the audience that is probably the least bit interested in that. So they all came here to listen to my education solving the future. But
no, there is no topic hotter. Sorry to you, Prince, whatever your name is. There is nothing hotter than the topic of the Epstein file. It has completely taken over the entire world. And you saying that the audience are not here to listen to that, like you're just dog whistling, and you think because you are in Dubai and where obviously bad things are very prevalent, you believe that people are not interested in hearing all of these nasty things that are coming out with regards to the Epstein file. That's where you are wrong. That's where you're wrong, because people want to hear every bit of it, everything.
I think it's all really important always to remember the victims. And who are the victims in all this?
Absolutely.
A lot of victims in this.
Yes, he did say the bare minimum and didn't exactly look happy about being asked, but it's the first time the royal family has spoken on camera about this whole sorry saga involving Andrew.
He was really hoping that they didn't say that. And all of this, obviously, they sound like a very prepared speech, and I'm sure that they've already coached him on what to say, in the case someone is bold enough to mention, because I'm sure that they would have warned every single reporter to not mention anything about the Epstein file or former Prince Andrew. So yeah, it's obvious that he had rehearsed what he was going to say should that happen. But the response that he gave was really silly, that nobody here wants to hear that. Oh, so are you saying everybody here is corrupt and they don't care about men messing with small children? Is that what you're trying to say? Because this Epstein topic is like the number one conversation. It's like the top two conversations all over the Western Hemisphere. So yeah.
Yesterday, we revealed how Sarah Ferguson took her two daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, to stay with Jeffrey Epstein in 2009, 5 days after he'd left prison for sex offences. We now have...
Can you imagine that? 5 days after Jeffrey Epstein left prison for sexual offenses, and Andrew's wife and Andrew himself took their two small children to go spend time with Jeffrey. Again, this just reeks of him. This whole thing just smells like, oh, they're trying to like dangle small children. It's like, oh, I don't even want us to vocalize where my mind is going with regards to this. It's like, oh, he hasn't been around people, he hasn't been around victims in a long while. So let's just bring, our small children to come and cheer him up. That's the vibe that this whole situation is giving. And it is sick. Like, this is so sick. And knowing the history, according to report about Jeffrey Epstein having things on people, I would not be surprised if he had so much on them that he was using to blackmail them that Prince Andrew will agree. Prince Andrew and his then wife will agree to bring their two small children to visit a man who only 5 days ago left prison for some very heinous crimes that he was found guilty of committing. Just let that sink in for a moment, because my mind is just wandering into so many different dimensions as to why Prince Andrew and his wife would have brought their small children to see Jeffrey Epstein just days after he was released from prison. Like, it is weird. It is weird. I mean, you can tell me in the comment if you don't think this whole situation is weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just my wild imagination. I don't know. But I think it's weird.
The emails to show how Epstein paid for the flights for all three of them.
Epstein even paid for the flight, my people. Epstein even paid for the flight. Make that make sense. Epstein paid for the flight for, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. These people are weird. And the flights, it was really expensive too. It wasn't even cheap. It was almost around almost $5,000. And that was back in 2009. And then Epstein was even asking, do I have your permission to purchase this ticket? Oh no, she was asking Jeffrey Epstein, do I have your permission to purchase this ticket? Like, this is so weird. This is so weird when you put everything in perspective, when you listen to the scenario and you put everything in perspective, and then she's asking, do I have your permission to purchase this ticket to bring my daughters to come and see a man who only 5 days ago was released from prison for sexual offenses? My goodness. These people are sick. Sick, sick, sick.
Before they arrived, Epstein and his assistant, Leslie Groff, discussed the flights for the Duchess and the girls from Heathrow to Miami. The return seats in economy for the girls are listed as $4,800.
Yeah, almost 5,000. So yeah, it was okay. So it was the Jeffrey's Jeffrey's assistant that was asking Jeffrey Epstein if she had the permission to purchase the ticket. Like, this is so creepy, man.
And the return in business for the Duchess, $9,200. The assistant asked Epstein for permission to purchase these tickets. He approves. 6 days later, Epstein's assistant asks about their flights back. The following is from Amanda, the Duchess's assistant, she tells Epstein, and refers to a paragraph which says,
the following is from Amanda, the Duchess assistant. Would you like me to see if we can change the seat? I recall the plane being rather booked up. The Duchess has asked that she be in first and the girls in club on the flight back from New York City. Apparently, Jeffrey said that this would be okay. Please, can you let me know if you can change this? For somebody to be making such demands, what does that tell you? Doesn't that tell you that there was some kind of transaction that took place? Like, these people are creepy. Listen, let me tell you, a lot of you will look at rich and the famous and you'll be like, oh, I wish I had their lives. You have no idea what you're wishing on yourself. Like, you have no idea. These people are some of the scummiest people in the entire world. They are some of the most bizarre, disgusting people, vile people that you will ever see in the world. Like, you literally wishing that you had their lives is you wishing ill upon yourself. You better just take your 9-to-5 job where every now and then you get to go on vacation that you earned, vacation that you worked hard for, and you look after your children, you protect them as best as you can, and not use them as bait for some creepy men. You better just be happy with the kind of life that you have, because these rich people are some of the sickest people in the world, because they didn't get to that position by being weak. They didn't get to that position by being feeble-minded. They got there by being vicious, by doing whatever it took for them to get there. So just look at it from that standpoint. Like, there is literally nothing that they wouldn't do to hold on to power. Always look at it from that perspective, because rich people, they do some of the weirdest things that you can actually find. They are weird AF. Weird.
The Duchess is asked that she is in first and the girls in club on the flight back, claiming Jeffrey said this would be okay. Epstein replies, I said nothing. Do not respond.
Oh
A charity
gosh.
run by Sarah.
I guess when they came, Jeffrey was not impressed. And so I guess Jeffrey was not impressed after she dangled her small innocent children at him. On the way back, she wanted first class and golf for the kid and club for the girls. And oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is so crazy. I guess he was not impressed. I guess he was not a happy camper. I guess he was not a satisfied customer. And so they're like, Jeffrey said nothing. Do not respond. Oh my goodness. This is sick. This is sick. Because she tried to say that, oh, Jeffrey said it'll be okay. And then Jeffrey responded and said, I said nothing. Do not respond. Whew. My goodness.
back. The following is from Amanda, the Duchess's assistant, she tells Epstein, and refers to a paragraph which says the Duchess has asked that she is in first and the girls in club on the flight back, claiming Jeffrey said this would be okay. Epstein replies, I said nothing. Do not respond. A charity.
I guess they ended up flying coach. I guess they ended up flying coach. The Duchess and her daughters, they flew coach.
Run by Sarah Ferguson, announced today it was being closed down. Perhaps no surprise. As for her ex-husband, who knows what to make of this 2010 email exchange between Epstein and an account called The Duke. After talking about what they called a deal in London, The Duke email writes, God, it's cold and dank here. Wish I was still a pet in your family. They sign off with the letter A. A pet in your family. It's another example of the very strange yet very close friendship with Epstein.
Very strange indeed. What does that even mean? To be a fly on the wall, to know the meanings of all these little pet names and all these little code words that they call themselves. To be a fly in the wall. My goodness.
And Chris is
like, it's just bizarre. It's creepy. It's sad. It's pathetic. But yeah, that's the story, guys. Hi, Marilyn Guerra. So it's really unfortunate. Like I said, never wish to have someone else's life because you have no idea. You have no idea what they have done. You have no idea what, the atrocities that they have committed and just how nasty, dirty, and filthy their lives are. You have no idea. Okay? So, and obviously this is just my opinion. Based on everything that is now coming out, for me, it's fair to say that his former wife, Sarah Ferguson, is very much in on whatever it is that Prince Andrew was into. That's the vibe I get from all of this. She was very much a part of it. She was a not to use she was a co-conspirator. She was an enabler. Okay. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird that Sarah Ferguson, took her 2 children to go see Jeffrey Epstein, and he bought a flight ticket for them for almost $5,000. And then on their way back, his tone completely changed as she was requesting to be on the first class and the girls on club. And Jeffrey said, I said nothing. Do not respond. What that tells me is that he wasn't happy at the end. Towards the end, he wasn't happy. He was not a happy customer, for lack of a better word. Whatever it was that transpired, whatever it was that happened, he was not a happy camper. And so he didn't want to upgrade their flight ticket. It's like fly coach home bit. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment. Like and share. I'll catch you later. Bye.